This content is brought to you by BEC Financial Technologies, developing and operating IT for Danish banks.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good to be with you today. I will give a try on this presentation to answer your question if the QA transformation can be successful, and if so, what are the criteria we should follow in order to assure that its success. It will be based on my personal story and experience in BC, but before I do that, I would like us to get to know each other better. I prepared a few questions for you. Let's name QA transformation as any kind of initiative that should significantly change the way of how you do the stuff. It can be implementing test automation, implementing QA strategy, anything like this. So please raise your hand. How many of you took part in QA transformation? 1, 2, 3, 100. Okay, that's quite a lot. And how many of you were leading QA transformations? Do you have any leaders here? Yes? Quite a few people. And then how many of you experienced successful QA transformation? Not so many. It's a difficult topic. Rough estimations show that only 1 out of 3 transformations are successful and achieve goals. Why is that? But there is a spoiler alert. This presentation is not a rocket science. This presentation will not change your life. It is not about an article written by American scientists. It will not be breaking through. This presentation touches upon the concept that was invited 60 years ago, but somehow we have the tendency to forget about it. I'm Łukasz Krzemin, and I joined BEC 6 years ago as the head of quality assurance. Today I'm leading central QA team with 14 experts on board. But when I joined BEC, I felt more like this. I felt like a lonely fish in the ocean. I was given the task to create the QA community from the scratch. In those times, we were 100 people on 1 floor. Today, it's 700 people on 4 floors here in BC. So there were no testers, no processes. I didn't have any sparring partner I could talk with. So what I did, I was walking door to door, like, those people that want to tell you about the heaven or happiness. And I took my QA concept presentation and I was trying to convince people to invest in QA. And guess what? After some time, first request for hiring QAs appeared on my desk. That was great. But when I looked at the job description, we were looking unicorns. Really, everything was inside it. You need to be a Java programmer, you need to be DevOps, you need to be QA automation engineer, manual tester, everything in one job description. But it was not the only bad thing. We were promising that the unicorns will be living in a nice castle, meaning they will be given the greatest tasks ever. It was not necessarily the truth. So what I did, I adjusted both job description to reflect what real task we have, because in many areas we needed to put very fundamental things. It was boring stuff, really, at the beginning. We needed to open up for also not only unicorns, but also less experienced people. We ran Automation Academy. The initiative when we were hiring manual testers, we were training them for the 2 months, and they became junior QA automation engineers in the development teams. So we extended our portfolio of who we are looking for and what we can offer. Within 2 years, we started from the scratch, and we have then 40 FTEs, 40 great experts in QA community. That was quite a good result. So my first lesson learned was, when working with competences, you don't need only ninja, only unicorns. You need to have right people doing right job. Only then they will be able to execute your QA transformation and really bring them in the nice pace. When I have competences in place, I took a look at the technology and the tools we are using in BC. In those times, there was no central ownership of the test tools in BC. So teams were trying to do their best and find out their own applications and all the tools that will support their testing and test automation, naturally. But there was one team responsible for the technology on those times, and I reached out to them. But they were more like sitting in this white castle. Do you know what it is? Any guesses? It's an ivory tower. An ivory tower is a detached place in the universe where the big minds are sitting. They think they are the smartest in the world. They are doing the greatest job and so on. And that was a little bit the case with this team. They were detached from the organization. When I requested to them, I want to use JMeter so I can move on with my performance testing concept, I was given JMeter 1.5 years later. That was not the pace I wanted to have in my QA transformation. But then organizational change in BC happened, and I took over the central QA team. I took over responsibility for the test tools. Hooray! Is this just a happy story? Not really. This is what I was given. Legacy code, customization. I inherited HP ALM in 12 years old version. It was running on Java 5. It was blinking red in the security team, and they were saying, hey guy, either you are going to upgrade or we are turning it off, and I will stop the business. I needed to clean my garage first. More about this landscape will come in the next session, QA Jurassic Park. I encourage you to stay there. So when cleaning the garage, you need to decommission something. And of course, not everyone will be happy about it. When cleaning the garage, you need to assure the alternative so you will not stop the business. They can merge to the other tools and so on. But I also realized, oh gosh, I need to pick up my cars carefully. Every car costs something. Then there is additional cost, insurance, maintenance, and so on. And the same story goes with software. Even if you go with the open source model, you need to hire somebody to do the helpers, to adopt the tool in the organization, to train the other people. I need to pick up my cars carefully. And everything costs something. The bill is growing and my budget is limited. Of course, this is still a work in progress. But my second lesson learned was you need to be in the right decisive place in the organization or have a good alignment with the people responsible for the technology. So the technology will speed up and empower your QA transformation. Otherwise, it will quickly become a bottleneck. So after that, I took a look at the way how we work. I took a look at the processes. We like processes, right? Not really. Procedures? Boring. It's a piece of paper. But BEC is working in the financial sector. This is regulated sector. We need to follow the processes, otherwise we are losing license to operate and we will not be able to offer our customer services. But instead of telling how great processes are, let's take the example, what happens if we miss processes or we don't follow them? Just 2 years ago, one of the BC vendor released a change on the production on mainframe. This change caused a major incident and all the mainframe was down. To reset the mainframe in a company size like BEC, it takes few hours, and that meant that within few hours, somebody in Denmark couldn't use their card for pay the bill. Does processes matter? Few years later, CrowdStrike did almost similar, and we know what were the consequences. But when working with processes, you can expect two approaches. And of course, this is a huge simplification, naturally. Stick or carrot? The carrot is when you are convincing people, hey, those processes are really good, it will change your life, it will be easier for you, and so on. The stick is when you are implementing the mechanism that will make people follow the process because it will become obligatory. And here is the graph that shows what was the compliance level in BC. And the compliance level is a trivial thing. It is either, do we plan the test? Do we execute them as planned? And do we make decision about releasing something on production based on the test results? Sounds trivial, right? But it occurred that 50% of our releases are only compliant, 40, 70. It was not stable at all. We were educating, convincing people, but still something was missing. Then we did three things. First of all, we changed to measure the compliance level from quarterly basis to the weekly basis, so we can react faster if there is any deviation. Secondly, we expose information very transparently to the managers, so then they saw, okay, this is my compliance level. Hey, you are missing 10 points, you are missing 20 points. And the third one, we asked test managers to pre-approve every release before it goes to the production. That was the result. 98% of the compliance level. Only then we met the expectation from audit and from the top management. When working with processes, that was my third lesson learned. When working with processes, you can convince people, you can educate, and you will achieve results to some extent. But sometimes you must be in a need to put more focus on having this mandatory. So to assure that all of those people are following the processes and the process became a natural habit of our daily work. When I had all the organizational pieces together in place, I was still missing something. I was thinking my QA transformation doesn't go in the pace I wanted to. Then one day I went on one of the websites reading a very smart article, and I read this one. Culture eats strategy for a breakfast. And I was like, okay, what's going on with this old culture? Everyone is talking about it. Then I realized, and that was an eye-opener for me, if you have a silo-oriented structure, if you have lack of feedback in your organization, both directions, not only from the top to down, but especially from down to top, and people are not eager to collaborate each other, it will ruin your best strategy and plans. Then, fortunately, BEC also realized that something is wrong over here, what they did. What do you think, which role in the organization has the most impact on culture? Any guesses? Also, managers. Managers are responsible for having a right culture in place. Those times, BEC sent 150 managers from all the management levels, from the top management till team managers, no matter what experience you had, 3 years, 30 years. We were sent for 3 huge workshops, few days, to Denmark. And we were given the same content, how to enforce collaborative culture in the organization. Same content, same expectation, no matter on which managerial level you were. And you know what? It really worked. I felt myself, it's easier to talk to my other colleagues, peers, managers, directors. They are not so just focused on their business. They are focused on the business of the BEC, of the whole company. All of those lessons learned, and those are the key takeaways, reminded me about the concept of the golden triangle. Anyone familiar with this one? Almost. The golden triangle is an old, 60 years old concept, and it says you must have 3 elements in place when doing any kind of transformation. Those elements are money, money, and money. No, of course, I'm kidding. Money are important too. But the golden triangle concept says you must have right competences in place to execute and to do your transformation. Those competences must work according to optimized processes, effective processes, smart processes, so you assure the efficiency on the organizational level. And last but not least, that must be supported by the right technology that will speed up your transformation, that will let you to have a better results when putting same effort. But I put myself one more dimension into it. It's culture. The culture is as a glue that sticks together all of the elements and make it work. Now, how many of you can say you have all those 4 elements in your organization? One person. We have some unicorns over there. Great. I wish you to be inspired by this conference, get back to your organizations, challenge the status quo so you take part in the successful QA transformations. Thank you very much.